With Bungie's first new game in over 10 years looming on the horizon, and the excitement and interest of the revitalisation of their 90s IP Marathon, many of you are likely sat wondering, is this game for me? Well, fortunately for you, Marathon has a fairly tight target audience, so that question should not be too difficult to answer. So in today's video, we'll be covering who the game is actually for, who will enjoy it, and whether you're the kind of player who should actually even bother coming anywhere near this game to begin with. Because I can assure you, this is a very love-hate kind of game, and it will not be rewarding for those who take comfort in sitting on the wrong side of the fence. So, without further ado, let's head straight into this one. For the structure of today's video, I'll be splitting it into two parts, the first going into each kind of person who will enjoy the game thoroughly, and the second being the other tip of the scale and covering who should give the game a miss and why this probably isn't for them. To begin with, there are 5 key kinds of people who I've identified who Marathon has been specifically crafted to attract. Those include your general extraction shooter fans, being Tarkov or Arc Raiders, followers of Bungie's work, those into the beautiful sci-fi world, deep mystery lore fanatics, and gamers who get a rush off of general competitive games. Starting off with the most obvious here, if you already like other extraction shooters in the market, being your Arc Raiders, Tarkov, Hunt Showdown, etc., then regardless of your preference, you are more than likely going to enjoy Marathon too, with a fairly big exception that I will be covering in the latter half of this video. Because at the end of the day, despite all of the listed games having some extreme differences separating them, they do all fall under the extraction shooter genre. Now I do understand the classic argument of just because I like video game A, doesn't mean I want to touch video game B, even if they're in the same genre, so forth. But with how limited the space of this kind of game is, and how recently the public eye has been invested in it, I think this will be the turning point for some heads. The next of the demographics that should have their eyes on the game, and I believe will enjoy it, are the die-hard Bungie fans. And by that, I mean those that love and or miss the pure magic that Bungie are known for injecting into their games. As I covered in a previous video, Bungie haven't been able to inject nearly enough of this magic for quite some time, but they have been pushed into a corner, and when they are pushed into said corner is when they perform their absolute best, positioning Marathon on pole position to really reignite this Bungie magic blaze. And carrying on from that, those who crave new deep sci-fi universes full of mystery and lore to uncover are going to absolutely want to keep their eyes on this one. Even before we get into any minor details on the lore of this game, Bungie had released extensive ARGs, or for those who aren't familiar, augmented reality games, that delved into the highly complex and intertwined factions, lore and origins of this story. If all else fails, the thing that Bungie is best at is expanding the mystery and awe of their worlds, and this is positioned in a very strong position to do so. This goes so deep in fact that when you take a look at the extensive and highly gifted voice acting team they have announced, you can only stop and go, hold on, I don't know who any of these huge names are even playing. They are so confident in the mystery hitting that, despite the rocky development and public backlash, they know that their biggest selling point to this game is to cling onto the authenticity of the mystery that surrounds it. And finally, the other extremely obvious target market for Marathon is those who love the rush and adrenaline of competitive shooters, in any genre. Whilst Marathon doesn't aim to target the hardcore severity of Tarkov, the gunplay and action are so much closer to if Apex and Destiny, for example, had a child. Far more competitive and far-paced than Arc Raiders, as another example. And in another additional boost to the game, if the leaks I covered in my last video around the revolutionary new ranked mode that turns out to be accurate, given the track record of the leaker who sourced it, meaning it most likely will be, then the competitive landscape for this game could be one of a generation. With all of these in mind, however, and Marathon targeting such a specific group of people, that does not necessarily mean this game will be for you. As many have said before, a game for everyone is a game for no one. Unless you're Roblox, evidently. That being said, if you are looking for a PvE or purely story-driven experience, are craving a Destiny 3, are only interested in solo play or consider yourself far more of a casual gamer, then Marathon is absolutely not going to be the game for you. Starting off with the PvE aspect, as stated over the course of the video, Marathon will have you pitted against other players in every single match you play. Unlike Arc Raiders, however, there is no social credit-based matchmaking. By all means, try and be as friendly and social as you like. Proximity chat is in the game after all, and you are able to try. But good luck getting your argument and position through to the loot-hungry goblin charging straight at you with a fully loaded rifle and heavy metal screaming in their ears. This game has been purpose-built for PvP engagements from the ground up. So, unless you have a problem with being backstabbed, ignored or run down, then you are likely not going to enjoy this. As for the Destiny players who are desperately trying to seek out a replacement for the game that has been all but abandoned by Bungie at this point, it has been explicitly stated by the devs at multiple points that Marathon is not Destiny 3. You are not going to meet the unkillable Godslayer power fantasy. You're not going to be a paracausal force, you are an expendable, printable asset that is sent to die. Over and over and over again. I, as an ex-Destiny player myself, can fully understand the frustration with Bungie being effectively giving up support on the game. But if you're only looking for a Destiny replacement and not a Bungie replacement, you may, and probably will, find yourself feeling both weak in the game and quite dissatisfied with the product in front of you. As for the solo players wanting to pick up Marathon, this one's a bit of a double-edged sword. Marathon will not be good for you if you only want to run in solo and never with others. However, if you are happy to mix it up, then the solo system in Marathon is actually one of the most intuitive in years. This, at a glance, may sound confusing, but hear me out here for a second. Marathon's solution for solo play is the addition of a runner shell called Rook. Rook cannot be played in any other team composition other than a solo run. Injected late into a round against other teams that are already there halfway, he has limited abilities, acts sort of a free loadout and only exists to scavenge. In itself, I think this is a great system that lets players drop in after a failed run to recover assets, or for people with limited time to do a quick looting round. As I have just stated, however, this is not really for the solo player though. A large portion of your run, even as a Rook, still relies on trying to compete and negotiate with other players, who are in squads themselves. So take my word for it, this is not the game for you as a solo player. If you're willing to mix it up, then by all means it's a great system, but if you individually do not like to play with other people or don't have friends to play with, you're probably not going to find as much joy in this game. The final group of players that are going to find themselves alienated by Marathon are those who are just looking for a more casual game to play. With every point I've made so far, this one should be fairly obvious, but the game is quite literally built to benefit nothing but a competitive playstyle. The game will not be kind to you if you just want a relaxing evening to kick back and play. As stated in a tweet reposted by Marathon themselves, the entire marketing for the game can be summed up as, you are going to fucking die. This final point pretty much hits the game and target audience right on the head. It is a game for the competitive landscape, for players wanting high octane, high risk and high reward gameplay. And if you are not willing to play that kind of playstyle or don't enjoy it, then Arc Raiders won't be going anywhere anytime soon. I personally think the competitive twist that Bungie is throwing in the game is going to be incredible. And with the OG Marathon pushing the shooter space in the meaningful way that it did, with this iteration shaping up to the same, we have quite the prospect on our hands. All this being said, however, it is still a new game making huge sweeping changes. So who knows? I may have said you won't like this game under any circumstances, and March could come around and turn you into the biggest Marathon fanatic on the planet. Stranger things have happened, and sometimes we just need that little extra spark. That's just about all I have to really add to this topic anyway. I think most people have generally set their heart on whether this game is going to be for them or not. Although that being said, the public perception does seem to be shifting pretty drastically compared to where the sentiment previously lie. The only way that we will properly know whether this game is or isn't for us is to play it ourselves, and with the upcoming playtest being announced soon, that is the perfect location to play as it will be entirely free. As many of you are likely aware, later this week Sony will be hosting their annual State of Play event, with news of Marathon's open beta ahead of launch being dropped then. So you can all expect me to cover that extensively in a video as soon as it airs, so to make sure you're prepared to hear everything in a clear and digestible form ahead of time, why don't you just drop a subscription? Couple of quick little channel updates for you guys too. As we have just hit 800 subs, I've now been able to enable channel memberships. I will not be putting any pressure on joining by locking content behind it, however, as it's still just a way to support me if you guys feel like it. The channel continues to grow unbelievably fast, and I could not thank all of you enough for the support. I am not going to lock content behind it, I'm not going to paywall anything from anyone. Like I said, it's just a way to support me if you feel like it, and there is no pressure to do so in the first place. In addition to the open beta information video, there will also be 2 other videos that come out soon covering the most requested features from the community for both Marathon and Soulframe. The information in these videos are based on all the answers you guys have given me in the comments section, over on our Discord community channel, and even in separate discussions on Reddit. From the around 250 responses I've received in each, I will be sorting this into a couple of overall topics and putting them forwards for the devs, so if any of you guys have any other ideas you wanted heard before I make those videos, please be sure to drop a comment, as I'll be reading each and every one of them to make sure I really gather what it is the community wants the most and make sure it is heard. As per usual, I cannot thank all of you enough for the support. You've all been incredible. I've been Lorkess. Have a good one. See ya.